here from the Scrappy Sisters, and I am up today with a layout for Confessions of a Paper Addict. Today I am actually using just one of the cameras from the cut file called, I think it's called Cameras, and there's 9 cameras in this particular cut file. And for this time, for this time round, I just decided to select just one of the cut files and then blow it up. That's why it's a bit thicker than Virginia's normal cut files. She always makes really nice sort of more delicate cut files, and this one is a little bit thicker than she normally makes, and that is why. It's because I've blown it up much bigger than it was sort of intended, because it was made as a group of 9 different cameras. But I just thought this was a nice way to show the versatility and just to show you just what can be done with just one of the cut files that Virginia has made. Now I'm doing a little bit of mixed media on the back of this paper. Now it turns out lovely in my opinion. I actually mixed some white acrylic paint with Vicky Bouton's iridescent glaze, so it has a really lovely shimmer to it, which is what the iridescent glaze does. I don't actually think you can get the iridescent glaze anymore, so sorry about that, but it is lovely. You might be able to pick it up at some scrapbooking stores who still have some in stock, but I don't think it's made anymore. But anyway, that is what I'm doing in the background, just because this pattern paper that I've chosen has kind of a lot going on. I am using Rosie Studio Briarwood collection. It's one of my favourite collections that they have done. It's really lovely. It's really kind of burgundy, green, pink sort of colour tones, and it's just really pretty. And I said this in other videos before, Rosie Studio, the one thing that is really disappointing is their paper. It is very thin, and it makes doing things like mixed media very difficult. So what I've actually done is stuck this paper on top of just another 12 by 12 piece of pattern paper that I knew I wasn't going to use, that was just going to end up being donated to my childcare, my son's childcare, so they could do crafts with it. I just grabbed one of those and stuck the Rosie Studio paper on the top. Now the problem with doing that is it does warp a little bit because of the mixed media. It can make your paper warp a little bit anyway, and this paper is super thin, and then trying to stick it on top of another paper with wet glue, it doesn't look perfect, but that's okay. Once it goes into the album and it flattens out a bit, you won't even notice. But certainly in the kind of, when you've first done it, it definitely looks a little warped, but that's okay. The papers are just super pretty, so, I can forgive. So I have got a photo here of a Zoom screenshot, don't we all, in 2020, and it was actually taken the day after my mum's birthday, and we were just celebrating online with her. So it's my mum and dad, Danny, myself and Link, Jess, Matt and her boys, and then also my godparents, which are my mum's best friend and her husband. So that's who's on the photo in the 4 little squares of Zoom. So that's what I wanted to document. Now I have got this camera just because it's cute. We took a photo, we've all got cake, wishing her a happy birthday, and it was her birthday's in May, so this photo was taken early May. So for us here in Australia, we were in the middle of lockdown in Melbourne, but also it was, in hindsight, relatively early on in the pandemic journey. We didn't know that at the time. And Zoom was still a little bit of a novelty. And we still obviously wanted to catch up and celebrate. Now, as like everybody else, got a little bit over Zoom by the end of the year, and it's not over yet. We're definitely still, I'm still working from home, so we're still using Zoom a lot, but at this point it was definitely that kind of novelty factor of jumping online and seeing everyone via the Zoom platform. Now, I pulled out some ephemera from Briarwood. I don't have a lot left, so what I actually did was fussy cut a whole heap of florals from one of the papers. So that's predominantly what I'm using. I wanted to put these houses on because we're at home. And there's a couple of other ephemera pieces. Unfortunately, I don't have the layout in front of me, and this is on a very small iPhone screen that I'm doing this voiceover. So I can't read that top sentiment, but I know it said something about home is or so it definitely has a sentiment about home, and then one of the other sentiments says picture perfect. So I just picked a few things that kind of worked for what I was going for. I'm incorporating the happy, which was a die cut in the ephemera pack, and we'll use stickers to write birthday mum. I think I write happy birthday mum. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. Now, I'm keeping this layout pretty flat. You'll notice I don't use as much foam as what I normally would. I didn't pop up my cut file or anything, and that's because my albums are just getting too big. So I just need to be a little bit more conscious of how much dimension I'm putting onto my layouts. I still want some dimension. I'm definitely still going to be adding foam, but I'm trying to keep it to kind of one layer rather than layer upon layer of dimension, if that makes sense. So anyway, we'll see how that goes. Now, I will link to this cut file in the description box down below. I will also link to the Confessions of a Paper Addict Facebook group, because there's lots of fun stuff that happens in that group. I say this in every video. For those of you that watch our videos regularly, you'll be sick of me saying this because you're already in the Facebook group. But Virginia does release free cut files in there, so you should definitely come and join. I'm popping up some of the sentiments, as I said, just on one layer of foam, just to create, yes, some dimension, but not too much height. But a little bit of interest, because I do like the look that kind of, the dimension gives to a layout. It definitely brings a little bit extra. And I'm just layering up my florals, as you can see, adding in the little house ephemera, because again, we're all at home, all at our respective homes, dialing in. And then I'm popping up the word happy on some foam, and then I'll come in with thickers to say happy and then birthday mum. And then I'm pretty much done. I think I had some splatters, but yeah, I really love the colour palette of this collection. I really do. You can definitely still get it online if it's something that you're interested in. Rosie Studio, if you Google it, they're a New Zealand company, but they do ship internationally. And I really liked it. I am tempted to buy another pack of ephemera. I have a fair bit of paper left, and I would like another pack of ephemera to use up the paper, but at the same time, I'm being more intentional with my purchases this year, and I am, if you've seen our goals video, which may or may not have gone up yet, but I am operating on a kind of one thing out, one thing in motto, so I am trying to use up something before I buy something. I would love to kind of use up a couple of full collections before I buy anything new. And so that's what I'm doing. That's one of my goals for this year. So I'll probably do some videos if I do end up using some full collections and tell you guys my plans in a bit more detail. But yeah, that's sort of where I'm heading this year. So I guess you could say it's using my stash, but and it is, but it's also more about being more intentional about my purchases. Do I really love this before I buy it? Do I already have something similar in my collection? Am I using what I've already got? Or am I just buying it because, FOMO, fear of missing out? My friends have it, it's a beautiful collection and I really want it. And, if I do want it, then that's fine, I'll buy it. But I am definitely trying to, as I said, one thing out, one thing in. So we'll see how we go with that, but that is my goal. If you want to hear more about it, or you want to see me do a few more videos on that, or if I'm, working on particular collections or whatnot, let me know in the kind of comments down below, and I'm happy to do some more videos on that for you. So here I am writing Happy Birthday Mum with my gold, I think these are Dear Lizzie stickers. They used to be one of my favourites, and I've still got an entire full pack, as well as I think 2 lots of half-used packs. So thickers is one thing I definitely need to look at my stash of. I definitely have favourites that I use quite a lot, but I definitely need to look at using up some of my thickers, and maybe getting them onto some layouts to try and use up kind of, when you can't make any more words out of them, how do I use up the rest of my pack, or do they just go to my son's childcare for them to stick on their projects, which is fine if that's what I choose to do. But I definitely might look at maybe bashing a few of my thickers. We'll see how we go. Now I'm adding some Nouveau Drops in Antique Rose. I'm pretty sure this is. It's one of my favourite colours. I actually bought one for Jess in her Scrappy Advent calendar, so I hope she likes it as much as I do. And now I'm just tapping the back to try and get them to flatten a little bit, or sort of dome a little bit. They're a little bit peaked, and it does work. You know, it's not perfect, but it definitely works. And then I'm coming in with some white Liquitex acrylic ink and my fan brush, and just doing some, well, quite a few mists, I guess you'd say, because the fan brush makes them a very kind of light splatter, but a lot of it. So there's definitely a lot of splatter on here, but it's very fine. It's more of a fine mist. So if you like that kind of look, definitely encourage you to get a fan brush and give that a try. You could do it with your normal mist as well. You don't need the acrylic ink to use a fan brush, but it's the only white mist I have. You could just add water to acrylic paint as well. Right, I have finished. Here are my close-ups of my layout. I hope you enjoyed this. Definitely go and check out all the links in the description box down below. There'll be a link to this cut file and to the Facebook group, so come along and join us. And thank you so much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video. All right, guys, bye.